Warning, despite the subject matter at the focus of these videos, my reviews are not intended for viewers under the age of 13, so if you're not of age, turn off the video now. Are they gone? Great, let's get to the intro already. Don't worry everyone, I'm okay. I was able to survive the utter stupidity of the last episode. Sure, my head hurt for a few days after the last review, but now I'm ready to get back to this show. I could come in here and be cynical about how this show is going to trip when it's so close to the finish line, but as bad as the last episode was, it did set up things for later stories. After all, Vargoyle succeeded at installing his memory pulsator device that sounded like it was going to be a big part of Evox's plan to return to Earth. The question is, will this episode build on that story thread, or will we get another dumb filler episode before the finale? Well, let's find out as we look at Power Rangers Beast Morphers, Episode 18, Rewriting History. The episode opens with Steel walking through the park in awe of all the pets he sees. The other Rangers join him, and Steel asks if having a pet is a common practice for humans, leading to the other Rangers talking about their pets. Steel then announces that he's going to get a pet, but the other Rangers are skeptical because of the responsibility a pet brings. Nate promises Steel that if the robot can take care of a potted plant for a week, then the brothers will go pet shopping. Steel's happy but clueless where to get a plant, so Devin takes the Robo Ranger to the flower shop before we cut to the Cyberverse. Scruzzle's just upgraded the Robotron maker so it'll activate the memory pulsator, and Vargoyle activates the pulsator while explaining phase 2 of his master plan. He's going to give everyone in Coral Harbor false memories so they'll all believe that Blaze and Roxy became Rangers and that Evox never attacked the city. However, the memory pulsator doesn't work on Steel or his new plant named Spot, and the robot becomes confused when Devin freaks out at the sight of him. Steel is smart enough to realize that the pulsator did something to Devin and asks if he knows he's the Red Ranger. Devin doesn't know what Steel's talking about and tells the robot to leave him alone, but Steel keeps following Devin, trying to convince him that they're friends. Steel then offers Devin a chance to see the Grid Battle Force simulator, which gets the Amnesiac Ranger all hyped. However, as they get close to the building, Steel notices Blaze and Roxy walking around freely and even talking to the other Rangers. Steel tries to convince Devin that Blaze and Roxy are evil, but the Red Ranger is skeptical.
Wait, that's gotta be their evil plan. Evox has done something to mess with everyone's memories.
Then how come you remember stuff?
Well, I guess because I'm one of a kind. The bad guys always forget that I'm half human, half robot. Their mind tricks don't fool my circuits.
Oh, I see. So it's Steel's robot half that protected him from the memory pulsator. Neat. Ben and Betty then show up in their security garb and start hounding the two for trespassing, asking where they stole their GB communicators. Devin gives up his easily, but Steel insists the communicator belongs to him, leading to Ben and Betty wrestling with the robot. Steel's able to detach his hand and make a quick getaway, but in the scuffle, his hand drops the communicator. Steel's upset to have lost the communicators because now him and Devin can't access their morphers, and in a moment of rare stupidity, Devin asks what a morpher is. Seriously, am I the only one who saw this scene happen? Because Beast Morphers can't seem to remember it. Things get worse when Vargoyle shows up, and after he sees Steel explain to Devin who he is, the General realizes that the memory pulsator didn't work on Steel. As Vargoyle complains about the pulsator not working on everyone, he lets slip that it's on the new station tower, but Vargoyle isn't concerned about that since he's only got 2 Rangers to deal with. Steel asks Devin to hold Spot while he engages Vargoyle, but the robot is simply outmatched since he can't morph. Luckily, Devin gives Steel some much needed backup, and during the fight, Steel and Devin try to keep Spot safe like this is some kind of Jackie Chan movie. I love it. Vargoyle, because he's an asshole, starts targeting Spot directly, but Devin accesses his super speed to save the plant. Realizing he has superpowers, Devin now believes he's a Power Ranger and runs off to retrieve his and Steel's communicators.
That's it! No! Spot! What has he done to you?
Man, character deaths in these shows are always rough. Vargoyle, like a dumbass, kicks Steel into a dumpster rather than kill him before running off. Devin finds Steel and apologizes for what happened to Spot, but the Robo Ranger is still distraught over not being able to save Spot or the city. Devin hits him with the Wild Force chestnut, saying that Power Rangers never give up, and that's enough for Steel to get back to action. The two head out to destroy the memory pulsator, and on the way, Steel says he'll show Devin how to be a ranger. While that's going on, Blaze and Roxy ask the other Rangers to gather the mecha transporters, and after they leave, the avatars pay a visit to their comatose counterparts. Roxy installs a flash drive into her human stasis pod, calling it a surprise for later before we cut to the other Rangers and Ben and Betty moving the transporters outside. Ben and Betty end up cracking the transporter they're moving, which causes them to go on a dimension-hopping road trip. Back with Devin and Steel, they find the memory pulsator on top of the news station, but when they try to shoot it, they discover the pulsator has a shield. The tower housing the pulsator is also electrified, meaning that Steel is the only one that can climb it, though it still hurts him. Devin runs inside to shut off the power, so Steel will stop being in pain, but he runs into Vargoyle, and it's morphin' time. Scruzzle tells Vargoyle that he's only got enough Morph X to use the Cheetah Speed Beast power, but before Scruzzle can send more, Blaze and Roxy intervene to make sure Vargoyle is as weak as possible. What follows is a kick-ass fight with both foes using super speed in close quarters, and I love it. Outside, Steel eventually reaches the pulsator, but when he destroys it, the thing explodes, causing him to shut down. With the memory pulsator destroyed, everyone in the city gets their memories back, but it's too late as Blaze and Roxy take the mecha transporters back to the Cyberverse. Eventually, Devin activates his Beast X cannon to blow a hole in Vargoyle, finishing him off before our man in red makes his way back to GB with Steel. As Nate tries to get Steel back online, a Gigadrone attacks, so the other Rangers head out in their Zords. The Megazord makes quick work of the Gigadrone, and when the team makes it back to GB, we're left in a moment of suspense before Steel powers up fully. Everyone thanks Steel for saving the city, even though the robot is still upset over not being responsible enough to take care of a pet, but Nate decides to take Steel to the pet shop as a reward for his heroism. In the next scene, Steel takes his new puppy, Spot, to the park, but when he meets a girl who couldn't get a puppy, the robot ultimately gives her his dog. Well, that lasted all of 1 minute. Ben and Betty then teleport into the park because the transporter finally ran out of Morph X, leading all the Rangers to laugh heartily at their misfortune. Cut to the Cyberverse, where the villains enjoy the fruits of their labor, and the episode ends with Evox confirming that the stasis pod was sabotaged before laughing maniacally because the next phase of their plan is ready. This episode is utterly amazing. In fact, this episode is so much better than the last one that you'll get whiplash from watching them back to back. At first, I was expecting this to turn into a clip show episode that reflects on past moments before the show charges headfirst into finale territory. Instead, what I got was a villain plot that is well thought out, and a lone character in Steel who is pushed to nearly giving up. Steel is Robo Knight levels of good in this episode, and I mean human factor Robo Knight, not legendary battle Robo Knight. Here, the Silver Ranger absolutely shines as the sole focus, and since it's a plot-relevant episode, we finally get to see what the robot's made of. Behind his cocky demeanor, Steel is more like a kid at heart who wants to explore every aspect of human behavior so we can grow more as a person. We saw that on full display when Steel was learning how to play basketball from Devin, but now we get to see it in a more intense context because the villain plot is near perfection. Steel spends most of the episode completely confident that he'll be able to save the day and get things back to normal. That's why he keeps carrying and caring for his pet plant Spot. He promised Nate to keep it safe, and that's what he's going to do despite this minor conflict. It isn't until Spot is killed by Vargoyle that Steel lets the negative thoughts in, but by that point he's made such an impression on Devin that the Red Ranger is able to keep Steel from falling into despair. It was a stroke of genius to pair Steel and Devin together since the teen is way less responsible, and it's great that he learned how to be a ranger again thanks to Steel's example. Going back to the villains, I love how they simply misjudged how Steel would react to the memory pulsator, and they aren't under the delusion that the device will affect the city forever. Okay, Vargoyle is kind of under that impression, but he gets tunnel vision as soon as he sees Steel and Devin, making it his sole mission to kill them before the other Rangers come to their senses. I'm also happy that Blaze and Roxy played a part in Vargoyle's demise, even though the General's inclusion in the series was short. That's the biggest criticism I can lob at this episode. We built this character up almost from the beginning of the season, and even spent episodes focusing on the Beast Powers upgrade that he uses to fight the Rangers. After all of that, the guy shows up 3 times times and then gets taken down. Man, I sometimes hate the compromises that need to be made just because of a lack of Sentai footage. Overall, this is my favorite episode of the season so far. It brings together the intensity and heart that makes Power Rangers so fun to watch. Sure, I may not have liked the amount of screen time given to Vargoyle, but his demise did give us a truly epic action scene that will stick with me for a long time. Highly recommended. I'm Nick, aka IronBat1993, and may the power protect you.